is Press NH now? I can't find anything on that guy, and I'd love to know, because that guy does really great work. And the enemy that he's after, the enemy that he's fucking with, is the most powerful. I've been wondering when they were going to make this guy disappear, because he makes them look stupid all the time. And where is he? You know, it seems like if he was gonna, I always wonder about things like this. Like, if you're about to take a planned break of some sort, or you're not going to be available for a while, you need to let people know. And I think he would. I think he's the type of guy that that understands his importance, that understands his relevance. And I do. I think he gets it, because if you look at the dude and you look at what he does, like, he's inspired a lot of people. The problem with people like him is he inspires a lot of stupid people. Stupid people who think that they can do what he does. Same thing with DIRECT. DIRECT makes things look easy. DIRECT makes it look cool. DIRECT is cool in the way that he does it. His voice is cool. His attitude is cool. And he makes stupid people think that they're capable of doing things that he can do. There's Dave Chappelle did this comedy tour, and after the tour, he would come on stage for like 10 or 15 minutes and just let people throw questions at him, whatever. And one of the people that decides to stand up is this goofy Indian kid, probably first generation American, parents fresh off the boat or plane or whatever it may be, and he's the first generation American, and he stands up and he says to Dave, any tips for somebody that wants to do this? You make it, I've never done this before, but you make it look easy, so I want to get started doing comedy, something along those lines. And everybody sort of laughs, and Dave goes, man, I don't know whether to be insulted or complimented, whatever. And the reality is, it was a total compliment. It's absolutely a compliment. If you're doing whatever you're doing and people think it's easy because they watch you do it, that means you're making it look easy. Wow. Weird out here today. So I think that ends up being kind of dangerous with guys like Press NH Now and guys like DIRECT and guys like, those two are the more confrontational of the guys. Auditing Erie County is pretty confrontational. There's a lot of guys that are really, James Freeman can be pretty confrontational. And there's a reason why YouTube lets it exist. And I've been thinking about this for a long, same thing with like the pedo hunters. There's a reason why YouTube lets it exist. And it's not because they're the good guys, because YouTube definitely isn't the good guy. And considering the police aren't there to keep you safe. The police are revenue generators, right? Their sole purpose is to generate revenue. They're not out here keeping everyone safe and keeping everyone, happy and protected. Their job is to find little things wrong so they can generate revenue. And it's actually kind of scary, and it should piss people off, really. But it doesn't, because again, it's like the whole illusion of patriotism. People think that patriotism is a real thing and civic pride. One of the biggest illusions, one of the stupidest things we do is have civic and racial pride. Racial pride is stupid too. I understand why brown pride is such a prominent thing. I get it. Black, brown pride. And it's because of dealing with white racism for such a long time. But at the end of the day, you're proud of the fact that your parents had sex. You're proud of the fact that your grandparents had sex. Like, that's really all you're saying you're proud of. And you should save your pride for accomplishments. For things that you have accomplished yourself. Not for shit that was just, that's just the way it is. Oh yeah, my parents did. My mom really liked it doggy style, so my dad was giving it to her one day. Yep, she happened to get pregnant by it. Like, that's really what it comes down to. My mom usually loved to swallow cum, but this one time my dad finally got her to let him come in her, so then she got pregnant. Like, you have no idea, right? You have no idea. And that ends up being the issue a lot of the time. Is you think you know shit, but you don't know shit. And that anyway, so when it comes down to it, you should do things that make yourself proud. Do things. So guys like Press NH Now, like that guy's amazing. Like that guy, again, it's dangerous because it makes stupid people like me think that I can do what he does. And the reality is, the part that he doesn't show the people is that the hours that he spends looking over law stuff, reading into everything, researching all of the laws and all the subtle minutia that he has to know to be able to be that confident. Because confidence comes from knowledge. The reason why I'm so good at what I do is because I know what are you going to say? What is any dumb J going to say when they come on here and talk about, oh, it's okay that we cut and suck baby penises? That's okay. Nobody can say that shit. Right? Nobody's going to justify eating placentas and the genocide that's happening. There's nothing anybody can say. And the truth is, the more I look into things, the more I realize I've been right the whole time. I just didn't, I wasn't confident enough to say so. It's one thing to say, did you know the Jays poison wells? They poison drinking water wells. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? That's just a conspiracy theory. And you can say, oh, well, it is a rumor though. Or you say, actually, there's Operation Cast Thy Bread, where it was a government operation where they went through and before it's the Haganah, because again, I don't know how Israel can be established by Israelis when there is no Israel, right? But they literally poisoned drinking water wells. It's called Operation Cast Thy Bread. And knowing that no matter what anybody thinks or says or whatever, that all you have to do is look. It's right there. And generally, like with Operation Cast Thy Bread, with the Samson Option, Team Jorge's not there yet, but a lot of these pages, the Wikipedia page is locked. Nobody can adjust that page. And so, this is exactly the way they want you to think. The thing about how I do things compared to how a lot of people do things is I want to know what we're supposed to know. I want to know what what narrative they want us to know, and what proof they have for the claim that they're making. And so, whatever, these guys, they know what they're talking. And they're, Press NH now is vicious. His name's Mark. He's vicious. He doesn't take shit from these fuckers. And he knows his shit. And what I always wonder with guys like this and DIRECT and is like, they're dealing with the cops. Their whole thing is with the cops. So the enemy that they're dealing with can do whatever they want. They could pull them over, beat them, torture them, kill them, and then just manufacture a story about how they got out of line, this, whatever, and they won't even get in trouble for it. So that's where it's scary, and I'm hoping that there are people that know these people that can say, whatever happened. I assume Mark's in jail. Again, why would anybody build themselves to the position he's in only so they can disappear? Like, that doesn't make sense. Free Palestine. Omar, I wish it was like that, but Free Palestine is not necessarily true. What does Free Palestine mean? When are we talking about? Like, Free Palestine by creating what? Pre-2006 narrative? Pre-1967 narrative? A pre-1948 narrative? A pre-1918 narrative? Like, what version of Free Palestine are we talking about? That's where it really, it's not about Free Palestine. Palestine is yesterday's story. They've pretty much virtually eliminated Palestine, and if anybody has a problem with that, go look at the fucking footage. Go look at Google. Google Earth now shows you just how unbelievably fucked up it is there, and that there was never any ceasefire. That ceasefire bullshit was just so they could run with the illusion that they freed the hostages. It's just an illusion, right? There was never any hostages to begin with. There was no Israelis killed on October 7th, and there was no hostages. Never. It's all just bullshit. And the Ottoman Empire, and give it back to the UK. What does that even mean? Do you even know what you're even saying anymore? That's the bad part. I don't think you realize just what you're saying. We say things because we heard other people say it. We say shit like Free Palestine because that's what we're allowed to say. You can't say the real thing, fuck Israel. You can't say shit like that, right? You have to say that the easy Free Palestine thing, but it's not about that. These disgusting Jays are just going to keep killing people. They're already onto the Syrians. They're already onto the Lebanese. Their whole thing is killing. And so we have to, we have to address how we look at things, how we see things, and understand that the narrative that we have is more often than not just a lie. They lie to us about everything. Excuse me. Let me get 15 on 5, please. How's Abe doing? He's doing all right? Nothing coming back? Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Have a good day. No, they're just lying. It's all lies. Go ahead. These crazy Jays are just, it's everything they do is a lie. Literally everything. There's Vado from Hamas terror. No, there's not. Like, see, that's just it. This is how dumb they have us. How do you know that it's Hamas terrorists? Is it because the TV tells you so? Is it because the TV says those are Hamas terrorists? And you go, okay, those are Hamas terrorists. Just like Al-Qaeda. Do you still think there's an Al-Qaeda and ISIS out there trying to get you? Al-Qaeda and ISIS are trying to get you. Mm-hmm. You know how silly you sound? There's so much more video of the destruction and death that the Israelis are causing than anything else. And there's literally no evidence of Israel being negatively affected, right? There's literally no evidence. You can't show me a single video that shows Israel being bombed, cleaning up, carrying their dead their dead, children, just all the shit that you can consistently see. You're Y too far. You're Y-O-U-R, Y too far to talk to. Oh, that's what it is. Right? Because what arrogant, stupid people think is they should come in and say dumb shit, and I should go, oh, okay. I know I believe differently, but because you said so without making any real points, I should just, oh, yeah, there's evidence of Hamas. Yeah, there's evidence of it. Well, this random person who can't spell said so I'm going to believe it. I'm going to change my mind about all of it. Are you fucking insane? And really, I mean, this is the thing that I keep trying to talk to, these guys, these First Amendment guys. Understand that our enemy is the same enemy, right? Why am I scared of the Jays? Because they're crazy fucking psychopaths and they have access to all the weaponry. Because they're the crazy kind of psychos that poison drinking water. Because they like cutting and sucking baby penises. Because they think women's vaginas are disgusting. Because they're all about genocide. Like, what do you mean? Everybody should be bothered by and scared to some degree. At the end of the day, what can you do? Do you have access to your water system? And I hate them. You're absolutely right. I hate them. Well, no, fear isn't a bad thing. It's just another one of their sort of ruses they put on us that you're not supposed to be. I ain't scared of nothing. No fear. Remember the no fear campaigns, the no fear bullshit? I ain't scared of nothing. I'm a tough guy. Nah, man. I absolutely fear psychopaths, man. I fear these crazy, crazy pieces of shit who deem Goyim life. If you were a cow, right? If you were a cow and you were like, guys, we should be scared of those people. And the other cows were like, why would you be scared of the people? You'd look at them like, are you fucking serious? Are you serious? These people are insane. And they look at us like we're cows. What? Did you see the baby I sent you? No. I got called a J-phobe the other day for bringing up how they treat their wives during pregnancy. But that's okay. See, that's what I mean. Like, in all these situations, when they say shit like, that's anti-Semitism, or you're a J-phobe, whatever, proudly say, yes, I am. Are you kidding me? Fuck yeah, I'm totally against supremacy. Fuck yeah, I'm totally against these crazy, crazy pieces of shit. I don't dig cults. You a big cult fan? You don't know my name, or you know my name, but you don't know what state I'm from? Think about how stupid you sound. We should absolutely have healthy fear of these pieces of shit. That's how we get rid of them. When you fear something, you get rid of it. What is there to like about them? Not a fucking thing. I've asked you, I've been asking that question for a long, long time. Somebody give me something good that these fucking psychopaths bring to the planet that justifies anything. That makes me go, oh, you know what? That's not that bad. I kind of like that. Oh, you know what? I've been too hard on them. Somebody give me something. Can Trump build wealth for America now? Yeah, because Trump's not a J. Like, so stupid. We don't even talk about that shit here. I'm just asking. I don't really know about America. And where are you from? Oh, Michigan. Yep. Look at how you're going to get a whole... But there's going to be a bunch of people on here that will talk a bunch of shit. Yet, those same people won't say anything that matters. That should be your sort of tell-all, right? That's your sign. If I was wrong about shit, people would bring it up.
Judging whether somebody...
If I was wrong, they would just jump all over those things I'm wrong about. I'm so tired of going to YouTube and sing one full after the other full, trying to teach each other people how to think. Well, then how do we get where we get? Are we supposed to just let them tell us how to think? You're sick of Goyim trying to help each other learn how to think in different ways? Boy, you're fucking stupid. We are, oh shit, you are. And many people have brung it. Yeah. I love when people say that. All right. So instead of bringing something up, they say they have brought it up. What? We have before. Who are you? A random nobody that has 90-some viewers and apparently you care enough about that you're going to say something.
All right. Well, actually, I'm going to make a...
Who decides what matters? They do. That's the thing. And this is the part that I keep trying to... If there's anything that you take from this, like for me, it's all about smoking guns, right? Point people in the direction of smoking guns. I've passed by this channel a couple times. I didn't realize what it was. Hey, welcome to it. If there's anything out there that's going to tell you what you need to know, it's a movie called Hollywoodism. And unlike all your Alex Jones loose changes and Obama deceptions, and these are great films. Don't get it wrong. Like, I absolutely think these are great films. Hollywoodism is something they wrote or they put out. They made this movie.
Yeah.
And they basically say all the conspiracy theory things, except in the movie, they're bragging. Like if I made Hollywoodism with a bunch of people, people of color as the actors and all that, it would get panned as being this anti-Semitism, blah, blah, blah. But when they make it, it's so beautiful, it's so good. So there's a movie called Hollywoodism that you guys all need to go see. Oh, you know what I was thinking about? I love when people on my feed tell me to get a job, because I should be what? Either A, on YouTube and at work like you are, or B, not working like you are. I wonder what it is. So, how many of you are TCAP fans, right? I got to actually do a whole episode on this. But there's one of the most famous episodes of To Catch a Predator is the one with Jeff Sokol. Jeff Sokol. That's the guy that eats the pizza. And it's amazing how it just completely goes under the radar what's actually happening in that episode. Like, maybe I should pull it up. And actually, nowadays you can't show TCAP because it'll affect the feed. And a lot of times it's hard to even find the actual footage still. But oh shit, did I leave it in the car? Did I bring the other phone upstairs? No. So Jeff Sokol is the pizza guy. You guys know who I'm talking about? Oh, wow. I'll have to give that a watch. I've seen a lot of TCAP, but I don't know. Yeah, you do. This is one of the most famous episodes. The guy that eats the pizza, that brings the fucking pizza and eats it, and you know, he has a pretty interesting interaction with Chris, right? But nobody talks about what's... First of all, if you pay attention to TCAP, you'll see an incredibly disproportionate amount of J's are caught by the TCAP guys, right? I mean, considering, let's say TCAP catches 20 guys. Well, the Jays make up 1 to 2% of the United States population. So that would mean for every, you know, they're not even going to get, they shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 in the whole thing. And yet, you know, a lot of times, you know, half of them, maybe more, were actually Jay. So Jeff Sokol, Jeff Sokol, that's this guy. All right, now, I don't know how many of you guys remember this. So what's really interesting is not only is this guy a J, Jeff Sokol. Well, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Think that's a J?
Him?
Yeah.
No.
She pointed right at him. Him? Yeah. So one of the things that sort of, it's a main focus of this guy's thing, but it really does go under the radar. And one of the big things about Jeff is that he was, he was talking about a marriage contract, you know, and he wanted the mother to sign a marriage contract and da-da-da-da. That's exactly what that's Talmudic shit. The Talmud says if a goyim rapes a child, then that goyim should be put to death. As, you know, you would think anything would. However, if a chosen rapes a child, if a J rapes a child, as long as that child is 3 years and 1 day old, the rapist now has to pay the full dowry to the parents. And now it's kind of like a marriage contract. The kid now belongs to the guy that raped them. That's Talmudic shit. The surname Sokol is J and Eastern Ashkenazi origin. See, so this person could have easily proven me wrong right there. Dude, you're crazy. This is Chinese, or this is this, this is that. No. And if you watch the whole episode, he's incredibly pompous. And he doesn't even, he's like, he doesn't understand why he's getting in trouble. And the thing he keeps saying over and over again is like, yeah, but if you look at the transcripts, I was worried about getting in trouble. I didn't want to get in trouble. You know, I was worried about getting in. He never said, you know, how gross it is or how wrong it is or anything like that. He just kept saying, you know, I was trying, and he's trying to get around it by, you know, this marriage contract. And I just think it's strange because it's all Talmudic bullshit, but the show doesn't focus on it. Imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine, or if it was like some Muslim, some Indian, some black, whatever, that was like, no, you know. I mean, you can't, I can't compare it because I don't know of other religions that have these marriage contracts that come from rape. Like it's fucking crazy. It's crazy how this is right there. It's right in front of you. They talk about it. Chris Hansen nobody brings it up. They talk about the marriage contract. They talk about how fucking weird it is, but they don't go any deeper. And I just happened to, I was watching a TCAP video yesterday. I was watching a channel, TCAP channel. And it's actually this guy that, it's Dreading. I was watching Dreading yesterday. Dreading just put out a video. I think they put out the Jeffrey Sokol video yesterday. And what Dreading does is Dreading actually watches the interrogation of the asshole and breaks down a lot of the... See, and this is where I think it's strange. Dreading is actually breaking down a lot of the psychological and you know, weird shit that goes on in the video, but at no point do they bring up the stuff, the Talmudic stuff. And I guess it comes out of ignorance, I'm hoping. Because, you know, I've seen Jeff Sokol, I've seen breakdowns, I've seen all that before, and it never dawned on me that it was Talmudic. That's why. The rabbi that was caught. If you watch how the Jays, when the Jays get caught, their reaction is just different than everybody else's is. Their reaction is much more confident that they're going to be okay. You know, like the rabbi was looking at Chris like, don't you know who I am? Like, you don't fuck with me. He even attacked him. Right? You're going to talk about, you get the words right. Yep, I don't get the words right. You got it. I'm wrong about what I'm saying. The Talmud is fucking gross, man. The Talmud is disgusting. You know? And when you see this stuff is here, you keep that. You see this stuff is so prominent. It's so big that it's like this episode of TCAP and then everything that's come from it. This is 15 years old at this point. I don't know how old it is, but I assume it's close to 15 years old. This has been out for such a long time. It's clearly, like the fact that TCAP hasn't been brought back just shows you how fucked up the narrative is. Because if it's all about ratings and it's all about give the people what they want to see, then TCAP should be one of the biggest shows on TV. Chris Hansen should be just a mega star at this point. Do you guys know why TCAP got shut down? TCAP was shut down because they caught a senator or congressman, something. I think it's a state senator. They caught a senator up in the sting. And he didn't actually come to the house, but he almost did. And so they went to his house to be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing kind of thing. And the fucker shot himself. And because he shot himself, his J sister, his goofy J sister, ended up suing NBC, won like $4 million and all this other. You know, and people say, oh, that ruins your life. Oh, that ruins. No, it doesn't. It ruins your life if you're guilty. You know, I've literally dealt with it for years now. You know, these idiots try everything they fucking can. Oh, I had a bad experience yesterday. I realized somebody that I had been working with, or at least thinking about going on their show, had Todd on his shirt on his show yesterday. Wah, 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 wah. That's great. Nah, he had Todd on his. He doesn't have him on there knowing who he is. That's okay, though. Or questioning who he is. Because the
audience got a good dose of that. And
his
then
you're
gonna go.
His character's been refined.
I don't care. You're still gonna. I'm not even trying to. You're going to make him look like an idiot.
Well,
and that's great.
Last thing I want to do is use my time on his show to talk about Todd.
No, you don't even have to. I've been saying that.
Right, but I do want to expose, my whole thing is exposing shit that's wrong. And Todd is one of the best examples of controlled opposition I've ever seen. For all of you Todd Church fans out there, this guy is as bad as it gets. This crazy, for real meth head, this guy is a meth head. And you know how it's not just the thing? Dude got busted manufacturing and distributing methamphetamines in Ohio. Oh, fucking Ohio. And his trailer that he was in happened to fall within 4 school districts. So that would make all of his felonies times 4. And dude didn't do a single day in jail. Dude just sort of appeared back on Facebook and has been allowed to be a truther, a shitty, horrible truther ever since. And
Did not stay in jail?
He should still be in jail.
Right.
He should still be in prison for that shit.
If my kid went to one of those 4 schools, so we're talking like
thousands.
Maybe 2,000 kids.
Way more than that.
No, depends. If they're not all high schools, then and they're elementary schools or
whatever.
So, 1,000, 2,000 kids. If one of my kids was in that situation, and I found out some dude nearby was selling and distributing and cooking meth near kids' school, you better fucking believe I'm gonna be in that court case and make sure his ass, what?
Nope.
Nobody's parents turned their face to that.
Well, they didn't have the opportunity to. There was no court. His whole thing just disappeared. I know nothing about that fucking guy other than what he's shown me.
We saw the news article.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Other than what's available, I don't know that person personally. I never watched his shit. I know from people that watch both of my feed and his feed that seemingly he watches my shit and then goes live right afterward to talk about it. And you're right, I did change the title because I've got myself off on the tangent that I want to be on, which is we need to expose Israel and the Jays and how they operate. But we need to be focused on other versions of us. When one of us disappears, we need to be looking for them. All right? What do you think of the end time, the Jays? What do Jays think of the end times? What's their interpretation? I don't think they have one. That's for stupid goyim.
Yeah, scare tactic.
Yeah, that's propaganda bullshit. They don't believe in that dumb shit. You guys...
They don't believe in Jesus, so why would they believe he's going to come back and there's going to be a rapture? They believe that Jesus was a man, not a prophet.
Right,
or God's
some
son.
dude. Right.
So they don't have a rapture in their belief system.
They don't even really believe in heaven and hell. They believe in you make the best of the life that you live and you step on whatever goyim heads you need to step on to enjoy your life. And that's that. But that the scary thing is so many of you believe in the rapture and revelations, but you don't know what that shit says. You might have been forced to read it as a kid, or you've heard people say bits and pieces throughout life. But if you actually read Revelations, you'd be like, this shit is insane.
Oh, yeah, and yet, especially people from the South, they explain it as that's when God sends Jesus back to earth to come and get all of the good souls and take them straight to heaven. The rest that have not been living a good life will burn here on earth and go to hell.
That's literally a Christian's best case scenario is death, doom, and gloom. and you wonder what the reasoning is. Not to mention the majority of the Jays just follow their traditions for cultural reasons. A good portion are actually just atheists.
They follow the traditions to get the benefits.
Right. Yeah.
It's the game so they can win too. It's not even.
Well, no, there are a lot of. No, there are a lot of them. I mean, look, when your belief structure says that you are the shit and that everybody's to serve you, and then you've seen it. You know, you've been shown by your family, and they point it out to you all the time, little things that we would never see, but they see it. You have a hard time believing it, especially when it's been, what's up, beef? When it's been pushed on you for fucking your entire life, right? Like, you don't know any better. So it's not like Christianity. I mean, I know if I was a Christian, one of the biggest questions I would have is, why aren't Christians God's chosen people? Why are the people that killed Christian God's only son and our superhero, why are they God's chosen people?
Because they said so.
And that's the other part, is like, so many of you just don't want to know what your shit's talking about.
I honestly think the first person to call the Jays the chosen people was a Christian, or was it a Jay? Who do you think the first person to say that and make that declaration was?
See, and but that's at the same time, then you have to start saying, okay, so what do you think? Do you really think history is what they tell us it is? I mean, for me, the concept of resets really seems to make a lot more sense than anything else. Especially when you look at the fact that, you know, well, they didn't have any religious text, any Christian religious text until around 900. The Jays, most of their shit is oral throughout all the centuries. It's oral traditions. They didn't write anything down, and like, it's all just bullshit. It makes up for all of that shit.
The concept of resets would cause mass chaos and anarchy because of the fact
that's why you're supposed to think that way.
That people would look at life as meaningless. Well, if it's all just going to be reset whenever the fuck it happens and we have absolutely no control,
you already believe that.
Then life is meaningless.
But you already believe that. You already believe that narrative. You just believe a really fucking goofy fairy tale version of it. But you believe, I mean, what do you think the rapture is? It's a reset. I mean, nobody likes to talk about, well, okay, so the rapture happens, the good Christians get brought up, everything happens. Okay, so then once it's all done, then what? Then I would assume it would reset, right? You already believe in resets. You believe a reset can happen if a rock falls out of the sky. You know, you just don't really understand like how.
But the concept of a reset means that it's on purpose. A meteor hitting Earth is not.
God is on purpose. God reset the earth with his flood. Apparently, we're all the retarded offspring of Noah and family banging it out. Like, you don't realize what you believe. And you believe it not for any reason other than you were told to. Like, it's always so interesting to me how people will come at me like, oh, yeah, right. Oh, you don't believe this. Oh, nah. Well, what evidence do you have? They're always like, people will demand, you need to be able to prove it. You need to be able to prove it. They always want proof, and they're so, like, mean and shitty about it. And then you go, okay, well, how about this? Let's just reverse it. You prove what you believe. You prove that we live on a round earth flying through space. You prove that the Bible, anything in the Bible is true. You prove that the Jays are God's chosen people and that we should turn a blind eye to the genocide they're committing right now. I mean, it's fucking silly. The Noah's Ark story is... So there are multiple stories in the Bible that are like the ist of the Bible. And like the Sodom and Gomorrah story is probably one of the nastiest stories in the Bible. But the Noah's Ark story is one of the dumbest stories in the Bible. And it's crazy because we all love to focus on how ridiculous, like the idea of getting the animals together and them all marching 2 by 2 across the lands and blah, blah, blah to get to the ark. And then what are they going to eat when they're in the ark? Are the animals all eating each other? Oh, you're so stupid, blah, 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 blah. But nobody talks about what happens afterward. So Noah opens up the doors and what? The lions just fucking walk their asses down to the, back down to Africa, swimming across whatever they need to swim across.
Go this way, antelopes go this way. Don't look at each other.
But then, even more importantly, so let's just say they do walk all the way back to the Africa, the Sahara.
They're going to the same place,
right? Right. What are they eating? And then, how long do the lions wait? How many generations do the lions not hunt the antelopes?
Manna. They were eating manna.
Right. Where's the manna come from? It just appears in front of them. It's just magic manna that falls out from the sky, and the lions just eat it. Even though they have predatory instincts and all that shit, they see all those little delicious. You saw fucking Ice Age. You saw when Marty the vegetarian was, or Ben Stiller's dumb fucking lion character, and everything he sees turns into a steak.
Diego.
Whatever.
That was Dennis Leary.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Many hours watching Ice Age.
Right, many hours.
Many hours.
But to think about so they just waited. How many generations would have to be produced before you could start hunting them and not fuck everything up? And then when it comes to the people, so Arabic, because they were Arabs, Arabic Noah, his daughters and their husbands, how did they figure all that out? And what did they just, I mean, it's not like you just produce children. It's still going to take 10 months every time. It's 10 months. It's actually 10 months.
40 weeks gestation.
Yeah. So what? They just happened to make 2 little black ones, and they were like, oops, burnt them. They were in too long. Put them on a boat, send them to Africa. Oh, look, these ones are kind of a reddish color. Let's send them we'll just put them in a boat and send them east. Maybe there'll be some land there that we'll discover in couple thousand years. You know? They just sent the Native Americans across the ocean, and then they got there and they were like, okay, time to start repopulating. How long do you think it would take to repopulate people to the hundreds of millions? Google equals God. The internet equals God. It's an electrical source that knows everything and connects us all.
And now is filled with AI.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying. You know, oh look, these kids we made are little fat ones with extra body fat on them and squinty. Let's send them up to be Eskimos. You guys go be Eskimos. We'll
fat. You can live in cold. I'll put you in cold.
Now your body will just adjust, and you'll live off of eating whale blubber. That will make you big and strong and healthy. Well, short and strong and healthy. Well, short and strong. I mean, it's it's really crazy when you think about it. The suffrage movement was the beginning of special interest groups and the police officer being agents of the foreign agents. See, the problem with that is, why do you know that? You know, so much, right? So much of what you know, most of what you know, is some information that you heard along the way, and you thought, I like that. I'm going to store that. There's all sorts of information that you hear along the way that you're like, whoop, whoop, in one ear, out the other, whoop, whoop, whoop. But there are certain pieces that fit the narrative you want to believe, so then you go with it. I mean, I know, like it's crazy, but I know I was such a space guy, right? I watched all the information, all the documentaries, and if it was something on space, we were flipping through the channels, and there was something on space, she would be like, just can I be like, put that back on. And we'd have to watch some sort of documentary on space. And the reason I was so all about it is because, to me, it was the antithesis of being against religion. You know, it's to me, you can't believe in the Bible and space. They wrote the Bible when they thought the earth was flat. That's what I used to say all the time. But the reality is, like, everything that you believe is just some manufactured bullshit. What was the feeling you got when I showed you the 1901 flying train? What was that feeling like? Wasn't it almost like you felt betrayed?
Yeah. How could that be? That can't be.
Right. She's like looking at the back of the phone, you know, like, what the fuck? Where, you know? Like, that just can't be a thing. That must be fake. No, that must be fake. There must be, you don't know something. There's something that you don't know. Because it's like a defense mechanism. Because, you know, that feeling of betrayal comes from the system. The whole system. And somewhere inside you, you know that if they're lying about this piece, well, then they're lying about all of it. Everything is potentially a lie once you find, you know, unnecessary lies. Like, why would they lie about this if they have it? Why would they make an animation of the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope instead of just filming that shit? That you would think that would be, you know, archived and you know, chronologized, you know, put in the annals of history. Look at this piece of film. This is an important piece of film, the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, let's just make it fun. But are they lying or just wrong? Lying. Because they know what they're saying isn't true. They know that they're stealing from us. They know that they're keeping us stupid. And they know they're doing it so they can maintain their position of power. Like, at the end of the day, the conspiracy isn't some crazy, you know, supernatural Jesus and Satan, blah, blah, blah. No. There's a small group of people who are inferior in just about every way, who are in charge. The reason that they run the show isn't because they're better or smarter. It's because they're the most ruthless. They're the ones that, and they've been bred that way. You know, again, look at how you look at cows. When you look at how you look at cows, you eat cows, you wear their skin on your body, you crush up their bones for your products. When you look at how you look at a cow, understand they look at us like cows. So what does that tell you? The earth isn't flat. Why do you think that way? It shouldn't be a big deal. You know? The earth is not flat. So even those that claim to be religious, which is always one of those funny things. So you believe that the Bible and the religious stuff is wrong about the firmament. The very first thing God does, God's in his basement. He turns on the light because he doesn't make the sun for the first 4 days. Doesn't make the sun and the moon for the first 4 days. So how you can have 4 days other than it's a unit of measure, obviously, like we talked about yesterday. The very first thing your God does is build the firmament. The indestructible dome. You like beef? Of course you do. You were bred to think that way. Why do people have such a hard time with this? I mean, I guess it's our own arrogance, you know. It's our own personal arrogance that we have such a hard time getting over. And it's funny because Christians like to believe that Christianity is this absence of arrogance, when in reality it's the epitome of arrogance. You believe that God has a plan. There's God's plan. God knows everything. He's omniscient. It's omniscient. You know, it's omnipresent, omnipotent. It knows everything. It's everywhere, all time, sees everything, blah, blah, blah. Meaning, if you get cancer, that's part of God's plan. And you believe in your arrogance that you can get God to change its mind. I know you had plans for me getting cancer and all, God, but I don't really want cancer, so I'm going to go give a couple $1,000 to the church because I know you don't answer prayers anyway. You answer tithing. Any chance you can get rid of my cancer for me? You believe you can change your God's mind. I can't even begin to think that arrogantly. But I mean, you know, everybody who claims to be some sort of, you don't live a Christian life. Every single one of you had sex before you were married. Every single one of you eats meat. All of you meat eaters, well, that goes against your Bible. God doesn't tell you to eat the animals. God tells you to use the animals. But God says to use the seeds and the grains as your meat. But that's another one of those things you don't like. And of course, any female that comes on here, well, we know you're not a real good Christian at all, are you? Because Christian women love to forget about good old Timothy. Where's Timothy? Timothy. 1 Timothy 2:11, which is New Testament stuff, says, "Let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She is to keep silent." You don't like that part. I was agnostic till I realized that that's the same as atheist. I don't identify as anything they tell me. I'm a Gaialist. I believe in Gaianism. You know, I if it was right, we would steal it. When it's good, people will do anything to get it. People will steal it if it's good enough. So nothing has been right. And they haven't let us. Again, it's all about keeping you distracted. You know, the majority of you want to sit here and argue about some sort of religious sky daddy bullshit. These stories that supposedly have, like when God actually gave a shit and was down here fucking around a couple thousand years ago, that's what it matters. In this one little area of the world, you know, where these arrogant piece of shit people now live and hate us. Like it's such. Look up the origins of things. Like I just think so many of you are just so ignorant. And hearing that makes you mad because you're ignorant, right? But even like the beef still believes in bits and pieces that he likes, like believing the earth is round. Literally, why would you believe that? What reasons do you have to believe the earth is round? What do you experience in your everyday life? Well, the lights in the sky are round. Yeah. If you look at a light from far away, it looks round. The bulb could be shaped in any sort of weird way. If you look at it from far enough away, it's just round. It's just a round light. Especially if you look at it through water. The flat earth theory was proposed in the flat earth theory was proposed, and says who? Start talking about the mid 1800s. People didn't just believe the earth was a round ball flying through space. That's not what your natural inclinations would tell you. The natural inclination is that everything is moving around above us. And once you start paying attention to it, you realize, hey, every year, same shit over and over and over again. There's literally nothing about your existence that tells you you live on a round ball except for the J media. And why do they do that? Because, wow, what an amazing distraction. Talking about space travel, talking about aliens and rocks falling out of the sky that wipe everything out, like the dinosaurs. Dun, dun, dun. Big, scary dinosaurs. Bah, 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 bah. Right? Those dinosaurs are scary. It's all about fear and death, doom, and gloom. Literally, everything they want us to believe is based in death, doom, and gloom. We already said the Christian's best case scenario is that everyone dies. Jesus comes down, ho, 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 ho. And as soon as his little toenail touches the ground, all the 26 good Christians around the world get raptured. It'll be one of those things where you'll hear about people getting raptured, you'll hear about people getting COVID and dying, but you won't know anybody. And then everybody, then once, because God loves us so much, then everybody's going to die in Armageddon because the horses are going to come. Oh, scary. You believe in pole shifts, right? Where suddenly the poles switch positions. It happens in an instant. There were woolly mammoths found with green grass still in their mouths because they were in mid-chew when they were frozen. Flash frozen instantly. It's true. It's true. Because I saw it in something somewhere. I didn't see it. No. I'm not allowed to see stuff like that. No. But I know it's true. Again, you believe a rock can fall out of the sky. You believe in super volcanoes, right? There's a super volcano underneath Yellowstone, and it could blow. And the best thing about all of these things is we're always long overdue for it. We're long overdue for a rock falling out of the sky and wiping out everything on the planet. We're long overdue for a pole shift to happen and freeze and wipe everyone out on the planet. The super volcanoes that are all over we're long overdue for one of those exploding and wiping everything out on the planet. We're long overdue for an ice age that wipes everyone out on the planet. What else do you believe? You believe in they love heaven, you believe in the invisible. You don't believe it's the government that you can see, right? You believe in the deep state. Dun, dun, dun. Trump told you. It's the deep state. It's not what we think. It's the deep state. It's not who we can see. It's not those people that continue to be in office. The Dandelinsograms, the McConnells. You know, it's not those guys. It's the deep state. Dun, dun, dun. It's not the Jays.
Who are the people that are in the deep state?
Shh, 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 shh.
Is the deep state a person?
Timothy, 1 Timothy 2:11. 1 Timothy 2:11.
It's a person itself, huh? Like Hollywood. Okay.
It's not the Jays. It's the Zionists. It's the Zionists. You can't blame the people. It's the Zionists. You know what another fun one that you guys all believe in? Even my wife believes this one. I believe money talks and we don't see the money men. Well, but when you print the money, you don't care about the money. The money's for us, right? They give the money's for the goyim. It's an illusion of control. But they print it as they need to print it. That's nothing. But you know one of my favorite things you guys all believe in? The Invisibles? You guys believe in invisible germs. You ever wonder why we call Germany, Germany? The Germans call it Deutschland. They speak Deutsch. They are Deutsch. They don't call themselves Germany. Why are they called Germany? You know, the invaders. If you look back at the wars, it's all about Germany being the bad guy. They were the big bad invaders, the germs. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Brother, you are crazy. You are crazy, sweetheart.
You're intelligent.
Right.
You?
You guys believe in germs. That's the best one. That's the new one. Right? When I was a kid, you know, you wash your hands. I used to always wash my hands with the dirt. I used to wonder why when I would wash my hands in the supposedly dirty water, I'd put some mud in my hands and rub them together and then put them under the dirty water. They'd come out super clean. I always wondered why that would happen. But it's because I can't see the bad guys. Right? You guys, then go kiss someone that's sick. Do it all the time. If you've ever been in a relationship, then not only have you kissed someone sick, but you've slept next to someone that's sick. You've lived in the same house as someone that's sick. Do you realize how stupid they have you? Like, it's just insane to me. And it's because controlling how you think is way more important than controlling what you think. Because if they control how you think, then what is secondary, right? If you believe in germs, then you'll believe in to strengthen, you'll believe in it. Hey, what's your immune system? Point to your immune system. Please, somebody tell me. Point to it. What's your immune system? Right? How do you strengthen it, right? You know what I know? I know I'm, out of all the people I know, I get sick less than anybody I know. And you can't deny that. Who do you know that gets sick less than I do? Doesn't happen. I don't get sick. But let me tell you what every single one of you watching me believes, unless you've been here before. Are we doing ad hominem? We're doing the ad hominem thing, right? Here, we'll do this real quick and then we'll do the sickness, because I just want to cover the bases real quick. Ad hominem, just so I can educate you a little bit, right? So, ad hominem, short for argumentum ad hominem, refers to several types of arguments that are usually fallacious. Often, currently, this term refers to a rhetorical strategy where the commenter, you, attacks the character, motive, or some other attribute of a person making an argument rather than the substance of the argument itself. This avoids genuine debate by creating a diversion, often using a totally irrelevant but often highly charged attribute of the opponent's character or background. The most common form of this fallacy is person A, me, is making a claim of fact, which B, person you, the commenter, asserts that person A, me, has a personal trait, quality, or physical attribute that is repugnant, thereby going off topic, and hence, you, person B, concludes that me, person A, has their fact wrong without ever addressing the point of the debate. Politicians use this. A common misconception is that ad hominem attack is synonymous with an insult, which I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. I think every time somebody comes on here and starts talking shit, they're basically saying that I'm right about whatever I'm talking about, but, and you have to ask yourself, like, if I smoked all the meth, ate all the crack, drank all the alcohol, beat my wife daily, beat my kids daily, kicked my dog, would that make anything I'm talking about any less real? Does that somehow diminish the significance of the genocide that's happening right now? Does that diminish the significance of the J conspiracy theory that keeps us all slaves? Make it make sense, guys. Why is it I'm always talking about the big picture and you're always talking about me? Why do I matter to you more than the big picture? So much so that you can't actually argue anything from the big picture, so you make up weird nonsense about me. That wouldn't matter if it was true. But anyway, you guys all believe in germs, right? Speaking of crazy, right? I'm crazy because I'm crazy. This is because I'm crazy. I want to tell you how I'm crazy, not how you're crazy, right? If my thought process is severely flawed, then you should be able to address the things I'm getting wrong and debunk them much easier. Instead of constantly trying to come up with all kinds of other distraction bullshit, like dumb Jays usually do, and actually addressing what's being said. So, you guys all believe that somebody's walking down the street one day, and suddenly, within their body, flu, COVID, whatever it is, just manifests inside the person. Suddenly now, they have their patient zero. And as they start walking around and coughing and sneezing, and now remember, if I were to cough or sneeze here, everybody's safe, right? This is okay. If I cough or sneeze here, oh boy, is everybody dead. Here, it's all good. Here, it's all bad. Here, your mama's safe. Here, I just killed your mother. But you believe two things happen, right? The first thing that happens is the person coughs out a lime green colored cloud with little red dots in it that's invisible. The cloud that comes out of their body, if there's no circulation of air, then the cloud just sits there floating in the air, defying gravity. If there's circulating air, according to my 90-year-old neighbor who never vaccinated for anything but ran out and got her shot for this, a sneeze can travel 60 feet when in circulation. So if I'm in the restaurant and somebody across the restaurant sneezes, as I'm just eating my food, nom, 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 the sneeze is flying through the air. And as I eat, as I breathe, sneeze goes up my nose and in my mouth, and dun dun dun. Now I become patient
Zero.
No, I'm not patient. I'm patient 256 or however many patients they've come across. And now I I could even be asymptomatic. But if I happen to cough or sneeze or do one of those, now I've got the other form, the more dangerous form. Because the cloud can sit there, and if you walk into the cloud again, you're doomed. But what's even more dangerous is the flu sauce. Coughing, sneezing, whatever it is, puts the sauce all over your hand. Again, here, everything is fine. Here, I'm covered in sauce. Self-replicating, really intelligent sauce. It's actually super intelligent when you think about it. Because now that you have the sauce, the self-replicating sauce on your hand, if you go and you touch the door handle, a pen at the doctor's office, a tabletop, your hand just happens to brush against the wall as you're walking. Everywhere you touch, you leave sauce. Now, it's invisible sauce. Don't get it twisted. It's invisible sauce, but it's there. And once you leave it, now it's self-replicating. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just waiting there. Now remember, 6th season, like they had to give us George Floyd because they couldn't keep the COVID narrative going during the summer. It just doesn't make any sense. So the whole summer, we're like, hey, George Floyd, George Floyd. And then right when it starts getting cold again, they're like, hey, COVID. And you're like, oh, shit. Sorry. They did it 2 years in a row where they gave us some other goofy shit during the summertime because they knew they couldn't do it. Because again, somehow flu sauce goes from being in our 98 point whatever degree body your temperature is. Mine's actually 97.1. It goes from being in this 97 degree wet, gross environment to now just sitting on top of a tabletop. And it's now cold outside. So 50 degrees, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, who knows? But the sauce, it knows, it's cool. It can go from here to here, and then it just sets up a little base. And it just waits. And then when somebody else comes walking along, and they touch the door handle, they touch the pen, their hand brushes against that same part of the wall, the sauce knows. It grabs onto their hand. And it starts self-replicating. Brrr. And it just waits. Because if you go wash your hands, well, then the sauce goes down the drain, right? But if you touch your face, if you cough, if you dig in your ear, pick your nose like we all do when nobody's looking, the sauce jumps off your hand, starts self-replicating and goes up in your nose and your mouth. Now you've got it. And now you're spreading sauce. You guys all believe this, 100%. Like you guys don't even question this shit. And yet again, any of you that have had a long-term relationship, you've slept next to somebody while they were sneezing and coughing and breathing all their sauce all up in your shit, less than a foot away from you, in an enclosed environment, and you didn't get sick. I've smoked plenty of bowls with plenty of people that had some sniffles or were oh shit, I'm sick, dude. And I was like, I don't care. Because it's not going to do anything. Right? You guys all believe this only because you're told to. You take you know how many billions and billions of dollars in medicine is out there that doesn't actually do anything? It makes you high. That's why you feel better. Dextromethorphan is like the fucking DMT. That's the thing that makes you trip your fucking balls out. And that's the active ingredient. They say that's the cough suppressant. Well, what if getting sick is your body getting rid of toxins? What if we looked at at getting sick not as a negative? What if you were like, oh shit, I think I'm getting sick. Great, cool. Okay, I'm going to take a couple days off. I'm going to sit around. I'm not going to feel great, but I'll be so much better afterward. What if that's how we viewed things instead of, oh no, I can't get a doctor's note because that'll cost me a couple of $100 along with the day that I lose at work. So I guess I'm just going to go to work and be unproductive and, you know. I mean, we don't understand. I don't know, man. I know since I stopped believing in germs like that, I've gotten sick one time. And that was when I broke down and finally ate some bird. This year was the first year I couldn't resist it, and I ate some turkey at my in-laws' house. And it was the first year I got sick. And I've been swearing by this for the longest fucking time. Birds are nasty, nasty fucking creatures. We have no business eating those things. They're disgusting. And if you look at the cycles to when people usually get sick, well, it happens to coincide with Thanksgiving and Easter. When a lot of people eat turkey. Birds are dinosaurs, right? Because that makes sense. I mean, I hate saying this. Oh, you're making me say it, and I hate saying it. It's probably like the idea that I'm closed-minded and blah, blah, blah. As crazy as me being a vegetarian is, like my wife would have never thought that I would have given up eating meat for every meal and blah, blah, blah. The fact that I'll now say that the religious narrative, the one that makes no sense and is dumb as hell, makes more sense than the Big Bang Theory, than the scientific narrative. I never thought I'd say that. I never thought I would say that. But the Big Bang Theory is the dumbest fucking shit. Yeah, a long time ago. Long time ago. And the funny thing is, you see like Joe Rogan talking about this all meat diet that he's on. Well, you can't be on that diet because you can't afford the meat that Joe Rogan eats. And Joe Rogan likes to eat the most high quality meat, which comes from vegetarians. The elk and the deer and all that shit that Joe loves to eat, those are vegetarians. They produce the best muscles. That should tell you something. But Joe tells the story about how when he switched over to eating just meat, he says there needed to be a new category because explosive diarrhea just didn't cut it. And he said for like 3 weeks, he was just shitting his brains out. His body was essentially rejecting this change. And then because we're adaptable and, because you need to survive, his body was like, fine, fuck it. But he also has to supplement that with all sorts of extra supplements and all sorts of vitamins and all these extra things that he has to take to account for everything he's not getting from anything but meat, right? And when I talk about my switch story, I went from having meat with every meal to no more eating meat, and I immediately felt better. I haven't had a time since then where I've eaten something and I've eaten, and I was done and I was like, oh, I'm so full. Oh, I need to go take a nap. Like it's, to me, it has nothing to do with anything other than that shit's gross. When you think about it, when you think about what you're eating, especially think about those things like little piggies, little cows, little chickens. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, I can't believe the Chinese eat dogs. Oh, that's crazy. How do you eat dogs? You fucking eat pigs and cows. And really anything else, and they'll just call it exotic. But when the meat that you eat is dead for a long time before you eat it. You're eating death. You're eating rotten, dead flesh. that's been dyed to look like it does. So, because if it wasn't dyed, you wouldn't eat it. It'd be all brown and gross. Like, it's a scam. And who do you think's in charge of that? Who do you think is who, who creates the food pyramid? Who are the majority of the cooking show hosts? Lot of goyim on those shows. You see, a lot of meat's died. Not all of it, but a lot of meat is died. Yes, it is. It's dead. It doesn't matter what. Again, all of it. It doesn't matter. It's dead. It's a dead body. You are a sarcophagus. I don't want to eat anything that at some point in its life I would go, oh my God, that's so cute. And I'd nuzzle up against it. Oh, look at that little thing. It's so cute. Why are you so cute? No way. That's fucking crazy. But, the thing the truth about that, when it comes to this whole thing, just another distraction. If we really wanted to know the truth about health and what we should eat and shouldn't eat and blah, 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 we have to override the J's that control the narrative. We have to unify. The Goyim have to unify and overthrow the same J's that are committing genocide right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. No, fish is so gross. Fish is so gross. It's all gross, man. It's just gross. And the proof is in the pudding. You can survive pretty well not eating meat. If you just eat meat and you don't supplement, you'll fucking die. You'll be out of shape. You'll feel like shit. It's terrible. But again, understand Operation Cast Thy Bread. Before they take over a place, they poison the well. When you understand that the significance of that thought, of that idea, of that strategy of theirs. Look at fluoride. Why is fluoride in water? It's not good for your teeth. That's just bullshit. We've all seen many, many pictures from National Geographic down in Africa showing random Africans smiling big old smiley fucking teeth. What toothbrushes and fluoride are they using? I've been criticizing this man for months. This person like openly says that kind of shit because he's a dumb J. You've been criticizing, but have you been debunking? No. Just criticizing, because that's what you guys do. You can't show me show me what I'm supposed to look up that has a somebody like me, not just some religious person, but somebody like me arguing the Free Palestine narrative versus somebody, a panel or something from the pro-Israel side. Show me. Where does that even exist? How come that's not happening anywhere? How come when the only coverage that you get from the college and university protests is talking to the J student? Every once in a while, you'll see that, like that one thing with the dumb girl who they were like, well, why are you protesting? And she was like, I don't know. Why are we doing this? Of course, they're going to show us that. But you only see these dumb J kids whining. Oh, well, they were having a protest over there. And on our way to class, we decided to take a detour and walk over there. Now, we didn't like what they were saying. But you could have gone to class just fine, right? Oh, yeah, we could have gone to class. Nobody's impeding us. There's no violence for us. But it could be violent. It could be. At any point, it could be. So arrest these Americans engaging in a constitutionally protected activity. These sons and daughters of the richest, most powerful people in the world who can send their kids to Harvard and Columbia and Yale and all these prestigious schools, and their kids are out there. And yet, nope, we're not. Nope. We just let that go. Yeah, weed. Weed makes everything bad. If weed is so bad, then you guys should be able to debunk everything I'm saying. I should be constantly stumbling and stammering and failing to override what you're saying and failing to debunk your nonsense. Yet that's not how this works. This is anybody who opposes me. What do you even oppose? What are you so mad about to begin with? Do you even know why you're so angry? I mean, it's pretty silly when you think about it. To justify discrimination. They're stupid. Do you believe in the Constitution? Fuck no. You sound angry. I do? Well, I am. I think it's horrible that the Jays keep violating, raping children and getting away with it. I think it's pretty horrible that there's a genocide taking place right now. Right? But as far as the Constitution goes, are you, again, this is just one of these distractions. Do you understand how ridiculous that shit is? You think you have rights, but you don't. You have an illusion of rights. But when they want to violate your rights, they will. And there won't be any, even if, okay, so let's say you get arrested for free speech, right? They take you to jail, they hem you up for a long time, whatever. You even maybe have to pay to get out, whatever. When it comes out that the charges were dropped against you and all that other shit, nothing comes of that. Those pigs that arrested you, they're not gonna fucking, they're not gonna face any sort of repercussions for what they've done. And the system will, you have free speech until they decide you don't. You have a Fourth Amendment right to not be, no searches or seizures until there's extenuating circumstances. And they just decide, oh yeah, there's a killer's on the loose. We need to come inside everyone's house to check. No, that's not how but they will. You think you own your property? Let them decide they want to build a road, a new freeway right where your house is. Commission approves $217 million electricity. Yeah. Because it costs more to make electricity now for some reason.
And we have no control, like you were just talking about.
No control whatsoever. That's a monopoly. Nobody talks about the monopoly that controls your electricity, your water. And the thing is, all you do is plug into a grid. It's not like they have X amount of water set aside for you, X amount of electricity set aside for you, X amount of gas. It doesn't work that way. You're just plugged into a grid. Your shit turns on, it uses some of the electricity, it turns off, whatever. It's still there. They just charge you, the meter just charges you for that. But it's bullshit.
Total bullshit.
And the reality is, there are multiple ways that we should have free electricity, just like we should have free health care, just like we should have free this and free that. but we don't, and it's not for our best interests. You know, who do you think benefits from us not having free healthcare, us not having free electricity, us not having free water? These are all just systems that are used against us. And we just sort of accept this shit, and we bitch about it, but we accept it. One year, the city that I live in just decided that they were going to redo the sidewalks. And they sent somebody around with some spray paint, and this person just decided whether or not your squares, each square, was a bad square or not. You weren't allowed to redo it yourself. You had to let them do it. And they charged $250 per square. And they just added it to your taxes at the end of the year if you couldn't pay it at the time. And there were plenty of people who lived on the corners who got hit for like 10 squares. You know, just an additional $2,500 you had fucking laying around, right? And instead of us unifying as a community and going to the city and being like, the sidewalks aren't our property. What the fuck are you talking about? This is what we pay taxes for. You're not going to shake us down for more money. We all just took it. If we would have all went to the city and refused and said, no, this is what our taxes are for, bullshit, they would have caved. Of course they would have. Come on. But because they have us so divided by different sky daddies and your skin color's different than mine, and, you know, well, you're a man and you're a woman. Well, you like boys and you're a boy, and I'm not supposed to do that. They have us hating each other for every single fucking thing we can come up with. Again, I asked a simple question like, why are so many people so mad? Why are you here trying to interfere and oh, I'm trying to criticize? I'm the guy that thinks we should cut off Israel, remove the whole J conspiracy, and use all of our resources to execute pedos. Who disagrees with that? Like, what are we talking about here? You sit here and talk. Of course I do. There has to be a bad guy. It's not about free Palestine, you goofball. How do you free Palestine? What do you even mean? When you say free Palestine, what do you mean? Do you know what that entails? Do you know why Palestine even needs to be free? Have you looked into any of that shit? Do you know about the UN Palestine partition? And how they initially intended to give the Jays 56% of the land? And because the Palestinians refused, to give up 56% of their land, they ended up losing 80-some% of their land. And now you want to talk about free? What are you even talking about? They need a two-state. No, they don't. See, why would they need a two-state solution? That's brainwashing right there. Why do they need a two-state solution? For all of the time the Palestinians live there. Why should they just give up their land and their everything and be killed and all this genocide because of the Jays because of some shit that supposedly happened in Germany? Because they cannot live in harmony because of the Jays. That's the reason why there's no harmony. There was harmony prior to the British mandate, and well, actually, even during that time, Jays and Palestinians lived pretty side by side. It wasn't until the Jays unified as groups like the Haganah which is the predecessor to Israel, that they who believe themselves superior, like you're talking about, we as people should accommodate this one group of people that believes themselves born superior and that the rest of us are here to service them. Why should we accommodate that shit? It's not about regardless of who's to blame. There's a truth here. You know, there's the truth that they want you to know, and then there's the real truth. But you're talking about accommodating a cult. Why should we accommodate a horrible, horrible, violent, vicious, sexist, racist, homophobic, like everything bad cult?
Stopping at Joe's and then to Marvin's and then back to...
The Chinese think they're superior too. Not like this. And this is a people that are born. You're born Chinese. You can't convert to Chinese. You can't convert from Chinese. We're not talking about a way people are. And yes, we can address other issues as they come. If people remember, prior to them doing the whole COVID bullshit, the Chinese were protesting. They were protesting against the system, against the government, and begging for help. But again, let's forget about that. Yeah, I agree. They should have never ended up there. They sure are the odds ones out in the Middle East. They make themselves the bad ones. They're the ones that refuse to assimilate. And again, we're not talking about this beautiful thing. We're talking about a pretty awful thing. Do you want to wait 5 minutes? You're talking about accommodating the worst thing. No, see, what are you talking about? You want to say not the Jays, the Zionists, but what does that even mean? That's the thing they've told you to say. At the end of the day, they all look down on you. Whether they're nice to your face or not doesn't mean shit. If you believe that you are chosen by God and the rest of us are goyim, that is ugly. To me, I say this all the time. I'm hoping to meet more of them that were raised in that cult who thought better of it and left, and now they're on the side of we're all equal and let's live in harmony. You know, you have to leave that shit behind. I mean, you even have the illusion of like guys like Ari Shafir, who claims he's an atheist, you know, the comedian guy and blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, even goes back to guys like Don Rickles and all those guys who supposedly made fun of everybody equally. Well, Hollywoodism has a great example of this, where they're trying to compare the plight of blacks and the plight of Jays. And they show, the first video they show is, you know, it's a silent movie, but it's these, you know, stereotype lazy black guys standing around drinking, you know, being stupid like the caricatures, you know, and then they get in a fight. And he's like, look at how, you know, Edison and how they used to portray the black people, and look at how they portrayed us Jays too. And then they show the Jay video where the Jay is maybe he's drunk, I don't remember what it is, but he gets stopped by the police and he immediately pulls out a huge wad of cash and buys his way out of being arrested. And he's like, look at how they portray us, buying our way out of getting in trouble, huh? And it's like, that's not nearly the same. Like when you say that it's a slur to say that one group has all of the money, the power, the control oh, that's a slur. How dumb have you been tricked into being? I know as a person of color, I wish they were like, man, black people have all the money and the power and the control. Like when the narrative is that you're cheap. Oh, how dare you say we're cheap? Well, that's something that's easily proven wrong. But that's, that's actually a good thing. People should be frugal with their money, or they shouldn't be frivolously spending on anything. People should be, they should be saving their money. The whole thing that they've tricked black people and people of color into thinking, you know how you really show you have money? You buy a special gun thing that they made that shoots money out so you can make it rain. You can just throw your money in the air. That shows that you have money. How stupid is that? How have we ever been tricked into being such unbelievable clowns? You have money, and to show off, you first of all, you feel the need to show off that you have money. So you got to buy shiny rocks in your ears and shiny rocks around your neck and shiny rocks all over your teethus. Oh, don't forget to get your super stupid expensive watch. At least the watch, will hold value. All those diamonds and shit that you buy, worthless. Worthless. People will talk about, yo, how much ice you have on? Oh, I got about 1.5 million on. Well, that's how much you spent, maybe. It's not how much it's worth. Hey, who controls the diamond industry again? Oh, fuck. It's the black people, right? Black people control diamonds. They've tricked you into thinking, okay, so we give you your paycheck. Here you go. Here's an advance from the record company. Make sure you go out and give my cousin. I know you want to buy some jewelry, so here, go see my cousin. And then you just go give the money right back to him. So stupid. But it's not, Israel has the right to defend themselves, but nobody else does. I'm so glad somebody was dumb enough to say that. So prior to October 7th, the Israelis had killed 243 or 247 civilians so far that year. It was stacking up to be the deadliest year for the Palestinians since 2006, along with the thousands and thousands of people they'd taken hostage. Because every single night, Israel was doing these illegal raids where at like 3, 4 in the morning, they just kick in the door and start shooting and take people. And like these were nightly reports. They were actually, I think they had more people killed. It was at least one person per day was being killed, reportedly killed by the Israelis prior to October 7th. And this is the deadliest year, but it's not by much. This has been going on every single day, every single year since 2006, when they were supposed to chill out, the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords in 2006 or 98. I can't remember. I can't remember all of the details for sure. Sorry, can't remember all the goofy names that they give. But Israel's the one that's been doing all of the oppression. Even if October 7th was real, which it's not. It's actually not. There was no Israelis killed on October 7th, and there was no Israelis taken hostage on October 7th. It's provable, you just have to look. One example of it is is how they always refer to it. They always say around 1,100 people in Israel were killed on October 7th. And that's not how they refer to themselves. They would say 1,100 Israelis were killed. innocent Israeli. They'd say shit like that. But so I actually did what you guys haven't done, right? So and it's you can't do it now. It's much harder to do now for some strange reason. Wikipedia changed their system up so it doesn't work as well. But which is weird because you would think progress would make it easier, but I guess not. So on November 7th, 2023, I went to the Israel Hamas War 2023 Wikipedia page. And I wanted to see, because I just had a hunch, right? Because I'd had a hunch before when Russia, the Russia did its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. I happened to look that shit up, and surprise, surprise, the page was made the day before the supposed unprovoked invasion took place. So I thought, why don't I just see? You know, again, I could be wrong. I did it live, and you know, anytime I do stuff like that, I'm totally at risk, right? I could look really stupid really quickly, really easily. If I don't get the shit right, then I'm the dumbass. So I go to the page and then I go to edit history. This is the part where they've changed it. You can't do this as easily anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't really know how to do this anymore. But before, all you had to do was just keep clicking back to get to the first edit on that page. And eventually, after several clicks, I got to the first edit on the page. And I looked at the time of the first edit. Well, the totally surprise attack that nobody knew was coming, that completely took Israel by surprise, and blah, 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 was initiated at 6:30 a.m. I think it's Tuesday, October 7th, 2023. Local time. The page was first edited. I don't even know if that means when it was first created, but it was first edited at 6:22 a.m. Tuesday, October 7th, 2023. 8 minutes before the surprise attack took place. And even if you switched those around and you said that the attack took place and then the page was made 8 minutes later, who's running to make a Wikipedia page 8 minutes after an attack? But this one happened 8 minutes beforehand. 8 minutes beforehand. And for the next, well, I only ended up reading about 3 hours into the event. According to the time of the edits. So I read until about 9:30. And what you had was 5 or 6 people with the clearance to, because this page was a page where you had to have had X amount of hours or X amount of edits worth of time on Wikipedia. And then that had to be approved by a committee. And then once you were approved by that committee, you had to then be approved by a second committee to be able to edit this page. So, of course, I couldn't edit the page, but like 5 or 6 people had the credentials to edit this page. And over the next 3 hours, at least, they were laying out the next 24, 48 hour narrative. What was to happen for the next. And one of the things they said was that it happened so fast, which is why there's no footage of it, but that Hamas launched 5,000 rockets in the first 20 minutes. 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes is 4 rockets per second. So we're talking about a place that has a blockade around it, right? The Gaza Strip is completely blocked by Israel. They won't even let lumber come in because they say that the lumber could then be used to make catapults or some shit, I don't know. But it could be used against Israel. So they keep destroying these people's livelihoods and won't let them rebuild, not even with lumber, because they're so scaled. But somehow, the place where they can't even get lumber was able to not only smuggle in 5,000 rockets, but enough rocket launchers to launch 4 rockets per second for 20 minutes. Can you wrap your head around that? Do you think that that's a feasible thing? Imagine how many different rocket launchers you have to do that. Even if you were like reloading, I'm sure after they launch a barrage, they're pretty hot. So reloading them would be kind of difficult. But how many would you have to have? And where'd they get them? And most importantly, after all this time, why do they continue to shoot rockets into Israeli airspace, knowing that the Iron Dome is going to shoot down 99.5% of them, with that other 5%, 6% having been scanned and assessed to be falling short of any sort of important target, so they let a couple of rockets fall here or there? Why would you keep shooting into Israeli airspace knowing you're not going to do anything, and then you're going to give them whatever justification that they already have planned, because immediately they respond? There's no time of planning or anything. They immediately attack 10, 15, 20 targets, almost like they had them ready already. Jets all fueled and stocked, and strangely enough, huh? Why doesn't anybody shoot rockets directly into Israel? That seems like that would be a lot easier. You might not even have to shoot far and hit the big building. Just cause whatever damage you can cause, knowing that none of your rockets are going to hit if you shoot them into the air. But really what it is Israel is launching rockets into agreed upon airspace, coordinated airspace, so then they can have such an incredible success rate, because the Palestinians can't afford. How much do you think rockets cost? How much do you think rocket launchers cost? These people are decimated. The majority of the men have been killed, which is why, or had already been killed or arrested, taken hostage, which is why the number of children and women that have been killed in this last year and a half or so have been so astronomical, because they already killed all the men. This is insane that you guys think any of this shit makes sense. Especially since, no matter how expensive it sounds, understand that we are paying for it. Our $3.8 billion that turns into around 15 billion shekels pays for a lot of death, doom, and gloom. This is horrendous. And again, the area that's said to have been attacked by Hamas is one of the most heavily surveilled areas in the region. The fact that there's only a couple of pieces of footage that come out that show like what they need it to show. Somehow Hamas, the militants, took over a tank, and instead of using that tank to their advantage, they're dancing on it, and they're filming themselves dancing on it, and then they're sending that footage to where? Where are they uploading it? How is the footage happening? Do we ever talk about any of this shit? Understand like how disgusting all of this is. Everything that they show you is you know, if you've seen or the one video where the woman or whoever it is, you can't see her face, is being put into the back of a black SUV. Wait, what black SUVs? I thought they were using motorcycles. Motorcycles and paragliders. How do you kidnap people on motorcycle? All right, get on, hang on with both hands. You better hang on. Don't let, because I will shoot you. I will shoot you right by my head, okay? You better hang on with, are you comfortable? Hang on here, put your helmet on. The whole narrative is bullshit. How many of those hostages look like hostages? How many of those hostages were skinny, gaunt, pale? How many of them didn't have the fucking jowls? Because they were all sunk in and shit. Not a fucking one. The hostages narrative was bullshit. There were no hostages. And there were no Israelis killed on October 11th or October 7th. The only evidence that you have that Israelis were killed is that they released a list of names. Now, this is going to go in a different direction, but it proves the point. When you understand that there's no 1,100 funerals, where are the 1,100 funerals that happened within a day or two? Or that day, actually. That day and the next day. You might see, again, a couple of videos, but there's nowhere near any evidence to show that 1,100 funerals took place. How could they? How could anybody accommodate that many funerals? But you don't see that. There's no evidence of it. Now, for those smartasses out there, let's talk about something. October 21st, 2023, 3 weeks after the beginning of the genocide, a woman here in Detroit who was said to be a J community leader, high-ranking community leader in this area, was found dead at around 6:30 a.m. on her front lawn. Her name was Samantha Wohl. Now, that entire case is the most obvious Semitism case you'll ever see. It's the desperation of the system to try to pin it on a black guy to the point where it was that the defense asked the judge to recuse themselves because, they clearly had a relationship with the person. A judge shouldn't be able to preside over a case that they know the person, that they have a personal connection to. And if this woman was the J community leader that she was, then the judge absolutely had a relationship with her at some point. I don't mean sexual, stupid. I'm just saying. But this judge was doing unprecedented things, and they were trying to throw this at him. And they eventually end up finding this black guy guilty of lying to the police. That's the only thing they could get him to stick to him. And they gave him 18 months to 25 years for lying to police. Meaning, anytime they can from here on out, keep this man in prison away from society to be able to tell his story. Because it's not like the J, newspapers and whatnot are going to go in there and interview him. Everything they can do to keep this man away, they will. Crazy thing is, the chick's boyfriend, her J boyfriend, actually called the police a few weeks later after her death to confess that he thinks he might have done it. He doesn't quite remember, but he thinks he might have done it. He was arrested. Well, he was brought into the police station. It was all kept super hush anonymous. There was no transparency whatsoever. And then he was ended up being let go because his excuse was the reason he called the police to confess to murdering his girlfriend was that he had taken an extra dose of his psych medication that day and hit his vape pen 4 times. So that made him call and confess to murder. You know, like always happens.
Vape pens are scary.
Right.
They make you do crazy things.
But as crazy as this whole narrative sounds so far, to me, the most interesting and questionable and telling aspect of it is that Samantha Wohl was found murdered on her front lawn at 6:30 a.m. by a neighbor. You say,
Are you going to the store?
where are you going?
Joe's the barber.
I know. Found at 6:30 a.m. Murdered. No suspects. It's a completely unsolved open case at the time. The newspapers from October 22nd, Morning Edition, talk about how the funeral was beautiful and over 1,000 people attended. So how does, meaning the funeral yesterday, less than 24 hours, 24 hours later, the Morning Edition newspapers are the funeral that happened the day before. How it found murdered, stabbed multiple times, unsolved, no suspects, because the guy that they ended up charging and all that, he wasn't even a suspect for a long time, till long after the boyfriend had already confessed, who was also given immunity, so he could testify at the trial, and he was grilled by the defense, and he looked like a fucking guilty crazy man, but he had immunity, so it was all good, right? But how do you have a funeral for someone, a high-ranking member of society, of your close-knit cult, meaning there's probably people from all over that would want to be there? How do you have a funeral for someone within hours of them being found murdered? How does that work? Can anybody tell me how that works? Make it make sense, guys. There's another story. Earlier in 2023, Israel claimed that 2 Hamas militants, just for no reason, shot up a gas station, killing 4 people, 2 of which were younger females under 25 or something. Basically, every time Israel does something like this where they claim, it's always enough people that could be in a car accident. Like if there was a bad car accident and then maybe you had an old person, because there was an old person that died as well. An old person who died of maybe was on the plug or was, got taken off life support or whatever it is, so you could pad the number a little bit. But it's never like any sort of number higher than 2, 3, This time it was 4. 2 of those girls were again under 25. Within 2 hours, there was a rampage. And it's we'll talk about this. We'll look this one up today. But it's basically when a group of settlers forms a line, and as they walk, they destroy, they break, they fight, they beat up, they burn everything in their way because they're rampaging, while the IDF, the military, is behind them, arresting anyone who fights back, shooting anyone who fights back. And they're justified because this is their rampage. They were mad because those 2 girls were killed. Those were settler girls. Guess what? It's 2 hours. And they said that the settlers waited till after the funerals. So these girls were involved in a shooting. They were, their bodies were examined and everything necessary for an investigation was done, which there's literally nothing. You'll never see a single photograph or anything actually talking about this story. It's just this narrative that's given. But they also have the funeral, so all the family members from all over the place were able to make it to the funeral. They dug the hole and got her in, had the funeral. All of that within 2 hours, huh? Pretty amazing. So let's see. Rampage. I guess we'll go Rampage Israel. No, not the missile. That's pretty interesting. It's all about missiles and shit. No. We're talking about... Okay, we'll go Israel settlers. Dozens of settler extremists involved in Monday night riots. Oh, well, this is just from 7 days ago. Settler rampage in West Bank sparks rare condemnation from Israeli leaders. August 16, 2024. State-backed deadly rampage by Israeli settlers underscores urgent. This is Amnesty International. Need to dismantle apartheid. Between the 12th and the 16th of April, hundreds of Israeli settlers went on a deadly rampage, launching violent raids on Palestinian villages in the West Bank, including the Al Mugari, Duma, Dir Bidwan, Biten, and Akraba. In these attacks, in which settlers set fires to homes, trees, and vehicles, at least 4 Palestinians were killed by either settlers or Israeli forces, including 17-year-old boy Omar Hamed near Ramallah, and 2 men shot dead near Nablus, Abdulrahman Bani Fadal and Mohammed Bani Jami. In the latest violence, a Palestinian paramedic was shot dead in the village of Al Sawiya, south of Nablus, on April 20th. Again, you're never going to hear about how a bunch of Israelis were killed, too. You might hear the occasional, Israeli soldier was killed as well, but that person goes like, it's just some random, you don't know. That you just have to trust that narrative. Videos verified by Amnesty International's Crisis Evidence Lab show Israeli forces were present and failed to intervene during attacks by settlers in Dir Dibwan, east of Ramallah. Witness testimonies gathered by the organization also indicate members of the Israeli military either joined in the attacks or stood by, failing to prevent the violence in Akraba, south of Nablus, and Kufra Malik, north of Ramallah. Isn't it funny how me doing this seemingly sets off so many people, so many profiles? What Americans are going to get mad knowing that this is happening? Why would anybody be mad at me for reading this? Other than dumb Jays who don't want us Goyim knowing about it, why would anyone be mad at me reading literal news? Like, think about that. The appalling spike in settler violence against Palestinians in recent days is part of decades-long state-backed campaign to displace, and oppress Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, under Israel's system of apartheid. Israeli forces have a track record of enabling settler violence, and it is outrageous that once again Israeli forces stood by and in some cases took part in these brutal attacks, said Hiba Moriayev, Regional Director for the Middle East and North Africa at Amnesty International. Establishing Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories flagrantly violates international law and constitutes a war crime. Violence is integral to the establishment and expansion of these settlements and to sustain apartheid. It's time for the world to recognize this and pressure Israeli authorities to abide by international law by immediately halting settlement expansion and removing all existing settlements. So what part of that isn't reasonable? Who hears that and thinks, well, if somebody did that here in the United States, I'd totally be okay with it? You know? Right? You guys would be so cool with it happening here. They're just making settlements. And the thing is, like I said, it would be narrative came back to the Israelis. If there was this other side where the Israelis are getting attacked in this way and now they're responding, because when they say this bullshit, Israel has the right to defend itself. Well, it's not really ever being attacked. There's never an outright attack on Israel because the response is always so tremendous. And that's part of their doctrine. That's part of their policy. I forgot which piece that was. But along with the Hannibal doctrine, along with the Samson option, they also have something, I forgot what it's called, that's all about, I think it's the just massive retaliation strategy or something like that. It's not even a clever name. Over the past 6 months, settler violence has drastically increased, but the most recent spike in attacks came after 14-year-old Israeli boy Binyamin Amir from the illegal settlement outpost of Who Gives a Fuck, northeast of Ramallah, went missing on April 12th and was found dead the next day. Yeah, and who's known for violating children? Yeah, it must be those Palestinians, right? Incidents caught on camera at Deir Dibwan on April 13th and verified by Amnesty International show Israeli soldiers standing by as Israeli settlers vandalized Palestinian property. CCTV footage from the Israeli Engo Yishdin shows two individuals entering a garage and setting a car on fire while two Israeli soldiers stand by. Soldiers also stand by and watch as Israeli settlers set up a roadblock blocking the main road leading to the village. Another video shows Palestinian civilians throwing rocks at the military and sounds like gunshots are heard. Jesus Christ. I mean, at the end of the day, don't you think if they had a better way to attack than rocks, they would? These people are so desperately oppressed that they resort to throwing rocks, just to try to be like, fuck you. which in turn gets them killed even more. In a separate incident, two young men, Abd al-Rahman Bani Fadel and Mohammed Beni Jami, were killed in the village of Jesus Christ, near Aqraba, south of Nablus, after settlers opened fire on them, according to the mayor of Aqraba, Salah Beni Jabir. In a statement posted on social media, Israeli forces said that a preliminary investigation indicated their forces were not responsible for the killings. Verified video footage confirms the Israeli military were at the scene during the incident and shows groups of Palestinians running away as the sound of likely gunshots is heard. The mayor of Amnesty International, the mayor told Amnesty International he saw members of the Israeli army standing by during the attack. Not only was the army there and did nothing, today we shouldn't say that the settler attack under the settlers attack under the protection of the army, but that the army is under the protection of the settlers. He added that the relationship between the Israeli government, military, and settlers is complementary, and that the Israeli authorities continue to systematic practices such as land confiscation, home demolitions, and barring access to farming lands. It's funny how you have people just spazzing out in the comments because I'm reading the news. Why don't they want me reading the news? Muntazer El-Malik, a resident of Kufar Malik, another of the villages attacked, said he saw Israelis in army uniforms taking part in the attacks on April 14th. He told Amnesty International, "What is happening right now is the erasure of humans, trees, and stones, and anything that is Palestinian by the settlers under the support of the military. These attacks are systematic and under the support and protection of the army. There were also settlers in army uniforms among the attackers. The situation is frankly disastrous. The solution is to uproot and dismantle all the settlements," he said. Gosh, it sounds like just crazy propaganda, huh? And what you'll see is, you're never going to see the Jays telling me that I'm wrong. The only thing they say is that we're not supposed to talk about it. They don't want us, Goyim, talking about these things. We're not wrong. If enough of us are talking about it, it can't keep being this, we're the victim, we're allowed to defend ourselves kind of bullshit. Footage provided by a local resident from Kufur Malik and verified by Amnesty International shows soldiers kicking and then arresting a civilian who is kneeling on the ground. The soldiers are accompanied by a man who appears to be an Israeli settler. According to the media reports, 25 people were wounded by live ammunition, and houses and vehicles were set on fire during the attack by settlers on El Mugaya near the illegal outpost. Again, one man, Jahid Afif Siddiq Abu Aliyah, Allah, was killed in the confrontations. I wish I could get his name right, and I'm sorry. Footage posted on social media on April 12th by Amnesty International shows Israeli settlers surrounding a property in a village and confronting Palestinians hiding on its rooftop. Yep, they are allowed to defend themselves, all right? Right? Because I'm making this up as I go, and the victims here are the ones surrounding the people hiding on their roof because they're so scared. Settler attacks on Palestinians in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, were already systematic, but have increased since the October 7th attack. According to B'Tselem, settler violence has has already displaced nearly 20 communities since then. 20 communities. These are hundreds of thousands of people. Many of the villages attacked in recent days include, I don't want to keep butchering it, are locations hosting recently displaced Palestinian Bedouin communities who were forced out of their communities northeast of Ramallah by settler violence. Almost like they're doing it systematically. This is terrible, man. This violence, a Palestinian woman displaced from Murajat described to Amnesty International how such attacks have intensified over the past 5 years. This violence is not new to us. We suffered their settler attacks in the Murajat since 2018, and it scarily intensified since October 7th. Every place we move to, they come and displace us again. People come visit and tell us to stay steadfast. But how can we stay steadfast when our lives and our livelihood and our lives of our children are in danger? This is a systematic policy that allows the settlers to attack residents and burn everything down, and no one is doing anything to stop it. Man, she's such a liar, right? Isn't she a liar? In February, the U.S. government imposed sanctions on 4 violent Israeli settlers accused of involvement in attacks in the West Bank. The UK and France followed suit. A further round of sanctions was issued by the Biden administration on April 19th. Gee, April 19th. What day is that? That's not the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombings that nobody talks about. Nah. Shh. So Biden issued sanctions against 4 violent settlers? 4 people? Biden issued sanctions, and so did France and the UK, against 4 people? What kind of bullshit joke is that? That's like, look, we're doing something about it. See, we're issuing sanctions against 4 people. What kind of sanctions does the U.S. impose on some Israeli settlers? What the fuck do they give a shit for? That's the kind of stuff that pisses me off the most, because it's like insulting. It's insulting to your intelligence. They think you're a dumb goyim, and you're going to hear that and be like, oh, well, look, at least somebody's doing something. The fact that 4 people could get the attention of not only Biden, but France and the UK just for those 4 people, all that does is elevate those 4 people in their communities. Now they're fucking rock stars and they get whatever they want. This is crazy. This is just crazy. The latest attacks are a stark reminder that imposing sanctions on individual violent settlers fails to address the root causes of the violence, including restlessness, relentless settlement expansion, and Israel's occupation and system of apartheid, said Hiba Morayev. The failure to address these root causes and to hold Israel accountable for its violations of international law is enabling the continued dispossession and oppression of the Palestinians. That is just insane. It's insane that it's this open. It's this out in the fucking out in the open. And everybody just does it like it's okay. All right. Oh, here we go. Oh wait, no. Huwara Rampage. This rampage has its own Wikipedia page. Oh, this is the one that happened after the deadly attacks. Let's see if they mention it, right? On February 26, 2023, hundreds of Israeli settlers were on a violent late-night rampage. Funny how I can't find the definition. I can't find like an actual definition of this shit. In Huwara and other Palestinian villages in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, leaving 1 civilian dead and 100, exactly, other Palestinians injured, 4 critically, and the town ablaze. So, first of all, look at my comments, right? Look at how mad so many people are at me for reading the news. Like, I'm just reading what we're supposed to know. Why are you mad that somebody is reading this? Why would anybody be mad at me other than some dumb jays who don't want the rest of you knowing this stuff? It's really simple. Really? Like, right? Why would anybody waste their time on here, you know, trying their best to get some attention when I'm talking about what's going on? Who's bothered by this? Who doesn't want this conversation to continue? Trying everything they can to disrupt and distract. Why? This is your American tax dollars hard at work. Your American, lots of young American men and women are going to be dying for these causes here. Already are, and it's just not getting reported. But when World War III does kick off, because Israel's involved in every world war. When it kicks off, Americans are going to be dying left and right. And I don't know, do you want that? It was the worst attack stemming from Israeli settler violence in the Northwest Bank in decades. The rampage followed the deadly attack, in which 2 Israelis were murdered the same day by an unidentified attacker in the area. Do you realize how, like, they should even be upset about this, right? Because they're, well, I think you probably have to be a pretty well-established psychopath to think going on a rampage is a good idea. But to think that, like, you guys are being just as manipulated into being these violent pricks that justify why everyone hates you. Because you get tricked into stupid shit. Oh, by an unidentified attacker. Well, that really does leave the narrative wide open, doesn't it? Israeli soldiers were in the area while the rampage by settlers unfolded and did not intervene. That's sort of a reoccurring narrative, isn't it? The rampage was called a pogrom by an Israeli commander in charge of the area. That's weird. That's usually the word they use when somebody does something against them. The same day, Israeli and Palestinian officials issued a joint declaration in Aqaba, Jordan, to counter the recent round of Israeli-Palestinian violence. It's Israeli violence on Palestinians. The Palestinians are not, they're not successfully attacking or doing anything. They're just trying to survive. They have nothing. Throwing rocks at a tank that's destroying your neighborhood is not you attacking. And they should have the right to defend themselves, but apparently they don't. In the rampage's aftermath, Israeli finance minister, absolute piece of shit war criminal, Bezalel Smotrich, a settler leader in charge of the administration of the West Bank. Can you imagine that? A settler, a proven racist, like openly violent, openly supremacist settler, is in charge of the Palestinian area, the West Bank. He's in charge of the administration of the resources and all that. How fair do you think he is to the Palestinians? A settler leader in charge of the administration of the West Bank called for Huwara to be wiped out, quote, by the Israeli army. Condemnations from the United States, European Union, and Arab countries led to Smotrich retracting his comment and claiming they were said in the heat of the moment. Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean it. We cool? We good now? We good? Everything okay? I didn't mean it. Yeah, all right? And that's, you guys good? Jesus Christ, man. It's just crazy how openly, how just well known this is. And how the narrative that Israel has the right to defend themselves is this common thing said. But apparently the people, the victims, don't. So this is a section called Israeli settler violence. Palestinians are the target of violence by Israeli settlers and their supporters, predominantly in the West Bank. In November 2021, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz discussed the steep rise in the number of incidents between settlers and Palestinians in the West Bank, many of which result from attacks by residents of illegal settler outposts on Palestinians from neighboring villages. Settler violence also includes attacks on known as price tag attacks, that are in response to actions by the Israeli government, usually against Palestinian targets, and occasionally against Israeli security forces in the West Bank. Price tag attacks is the name originally given to the attacks and acts of vandalism committed primarily in the occupied West Bank by Israeli extremist settler youths against Palestinian Arabs, and to a lesser extent against left-wing Israeli Jays, Israeli Arabs, Christians, and Israeli security forces. The youths officially claim that the acts are committed to exact a price from local Palestinians or from the Israeli security forces for any action taken against their settlement enterprise. What? This is so scary. I don't understand why this isn't scary. Palestinian police are forbidden from reacting to acts of violence by Israeli settlers, a fact which diminishes their credibility among Palestinians. Do you guys understand that? Can you imagine that? These these violent, ugly little gremlin troll looking fucking creatures are just descending on you. And you're supposed to be the authority. You're supposed to be the police. And you're not allowed to fucking do anything about it. Clearly, they're spitting at you. They're violent against you. And you're not allowed to do anything about it. Can you imagine how insane that must be? They're forbidden. And it's not like having this power, this ability to do these things, then creates a good people. These kids aren't good people in the process. It clearly turns them into just absolute monsters. Between January and November 2008, 515 criminal suits were opened by Israel against settlers for violence against Arabs or Israeli security forces. 502 of these involved right-wing radicals, while 13 involved left-wing anarchists. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know how stupid that is? You sit here and you think it's this. It's not. It's just J's. It's just awful J's, man. 2000 were involved in violence against the Palestinians and Israeli soldiers. Some prominent J religious figures living in the occupied territories, as well as Israeli government officials. What the fuck? Where the fuck was I? Why did it skip like that? What? 2018. Prominent J religious figures living in occupied territories. Wait, what? Left wing, 2008. The senior Israeli commander in the West Bank said that hardcore group of a few hundred activists were involved. It just like skipped on me real quick. That was really weird. Were involved in violence against the Palestinian and Israeli soldiers. Some prominent J religious figures living in the occupied territories, as well as Israeli government officials, have condemned and expressed outrage over such behavior, while religious justifications for settler killings have also been given. Israeli media said the defense establishment began taking a harder line against unruly settlers starting in 2008. In 2011, the BBC reported that the vast majority of the settlers are non-violent, but some within the Israeli government acknowledge a growing problem with extremists. UN figures from 2011 show that 90% of the complaints filed against settlers by Palestinians with Israeli police never led to indictment. Never led to indictment. 90%. This is crazy. In the 21st century, there has been a steady increase in violence and terror perpetrated by Israeli settlers against Palestinians. In 2012, an EU heads of mission report found that settler violence had more than tripled in the last 3 years up to 2011. United Nations Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs, OSHA, figures state that the annual rate of settler attacks, 2,100 attacks in 8 years, was almost quadrupled by 2016, or between 2006 and 2014. In 2021, there was yet another wave of settler violence which erupted after a 16-year-old settler died in a car chase with Israeli police after having hurled rocks at Palestinians. Like, this is what I don't understand. Why are we defending the bad? Like, I say this all the time here in the United States. Young black men, please stop running from police. They're looking to shoot you. Don't give them the reason to. You know? If you're going to wear the uniform like you're a gangster, you can't be upset because you get caught with a little bit of weed and might have to do a week in jail or something. I don't know. Isn't that part of the uniform? But don't run away from cops, man. Don't run away from people that can legally shoot you for running away from them and not get in trouble for it. You know? It's the same thing here. Like, why aren't the Jays all over the place coming out and saying, you guys got to stop doing these horrible things? This is just awful. We need to stop doing these horrible things and letting these people get away with doing these horrible things. They can't shoot you for running. Yes, they can. They do it all the time. And even if they do get in trouble, they don't get in trouble. We get shown, it's funny how, like, nobody ever asks, why do we get shown certain stories? There are all sorts of crazy stories that happen all the time that don't make it to national news. Who decides which local stories go national? Who decides what thing we're going to care about when we're going to care about it? You know, I really, really encourage everyone to watch a movie. I'm going to have it in the description, called Hollywoodism. It's the best evidence I can give you about literally everything. Because it explains everything if you allow it to. And the thing is, it's not a conspiracy. Not, Alex Jones didn't make it. Loose change that God didn't make it. Nobody conspiracy theory made it. They made it. It's like a documentary made in 1998. And it's the kind of movie that if I made that movie and I had all people of color saying everything line by line, other than the stuff where it's like we, instead of the we, it said them, it would be panned. It would be called all sorts of horrible things, and how dare you make this movie and this, that, and the other. But when they make it, it's like they're bragging. Look at what we were able to do. We literally created the United States to be what we wanted it to be. Everything you think, every belief you have, it's been given to you. We controlled it. By manipulating your grandparents, by manipulating your parents, by manipulating you, all through the television and the media that they've controlled. Like, again, it's not a conspiracy. They say it. That's what they say. I'm not making anything up. Go watch. They absolutely brag about it. Hello? Who's there? Who are you? Are you naked? No. I am. These videos get weird when you're not here. Me too. Guys, understand, like, it's the most important thing you guys can watch.
God fritter.
Whatever. It's the most important thing you guys can watch. It'll answer all of your questions. I mean, it won't, because you're not seasoned, I guess. It took me, it's like an hour and a half. It took me three of these episodes to get through it. Because it's just so amazing. There's so many things to start and stop and re-listen to, and you have to read between the lines. I mean, and it does. I'm saying read between the lines, but kind of not really. I mean, they're really obvious about it. They really do just tell you. I'm gonna make my wife sit and watch it with me, and we'll see what she has to say. It's amazing. It really is amazing. Genesis. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Listen to this. So this is the God that you want to believe in, right? This childish goofball. I will bless those who bless you, and him who, shouldn't say he who, and him who dishonors you, I will curse you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. God was speaking to Abraham and his bloodline, Israel. Exactly. As long as you keep cutting those baby penises, it'll all be cutting and sucking. It'll all be good, right? Like, it's just so stupid. Why would a God be like that? Why would you want to would you want to believe in a God that's like that? Such a childish, weird God. I can't understand why anybody falls for that shit. You know, I get it when you're a kid and you've been pushed into it and you're like a young adult, you're starting to sort of figure things out. But once you get to be an adult and you see how the world works, why do you believe in that shit? It's so crazy. There's literally no good reason to believe in any of it. And the reality is, this is the part where, like, we differ, right? Because I'm going to say, like, do you don't know the history. You don't know why you believe what you believe. You just believe it. Instead of you thinking, like, instead of you thinking, you know, maybe there's more to the story than I believe or I know. You believe what you want to. And you override things, you overlook things. One of the biggest things that's overlooked, never gets talked about, right? Is Matthew 24:34. How come nobody likes Matthew 24:34? It's pretty good. It's pretty telling. It's not even a long one. You don't even have to memorize a whole bunch of shit. It's after Revelations is explained. And Jesus' homeboys are sitting around with Jesus. And somebody's like, yo, JC. Hey, that's some scary shit you were talking about there, bro. When is that all gonna happen? And Jesus' response is, verily I say unto you, no one of this generation shall die before these things come to pass. So, when you understand that all those people are, what's the nicest way to put it? Ding dong dead.
Fucked, I was gonna say.
Yeah, they're dead. They've been dead long time ago. That all those people are dead, then you realize, okay, all those things, if those people died, then all those things came to pass before they died. So, we're good to go, right? You overlook obvious evidence of disparate. Yep, obvious evidence. I love when people tell me I overlook evidence and blah, 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 but then don't present said evidence. There is no evidence. And the thing that you don't understand is that lack of evidence for is evidence against. I'm not the one that has to come up with some crazy evidence. How do you prove something doesn't exist? Prove there's not a leprechaun dancing around in my hand right now. I'm telling you, I have faith. I know he's there. I can see him. He's doing a little jig. Highly. Right? You prove that there's not a leprechaun there. No, you're the one that has to prove it. I'm the one that has to prove it. You motherfuckers would be rightfully sane for calling me out on that, dude. What leprechaun? What are you talking about? Prove it. But when it comes to the Jesus, you're just like, nope. Literally no proof whatsoever. The narrative's dumb as hell. It's all stupid. It's really stupid. You know, I've asked people many, many times, give me the books, give me the chapters, whatever it is to read. That give me that thing that I'll read it and I'll go, oh, okay, oh, it all makes sense. I get it now. And never they say that Well, God doesn't like gay people and blah, blah, blah. They say that kind of shit. And you ask them, what do you base that on? And talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. And I just don't think they know that story. Because if you know that story and you still think it's about gay people, I'd like to know how. I'd love to know, what it is about that story that makes sense. You guys want to talk about it? I'd like to talk about it. So, Sodom and Gomorrah, a guy named Lot is sitting outside of the town. Not sure if it's Sodom or Gomorrah, which one it is. But they're like sister towns or something, and I don't know. I don't know if the towns are like the old school, they got a wall around them or whatever, but Lot's just sitting there. The guy's name's Lot. And these two angels come walking up. And Lot's like, hey guys! He doesn't know they're angels. But he's just like, hey you guys, why don't you come over to my house and stay the night? And they're like, no, we're good. And Lot's like, come on, I'll give you some unleavened bread. And they're like, all right, I guess I'm kind of hungry. So they they eventually go to his house. And when they go to his house, suddenly God makes everyone gay. Not really sure how or why, but everybody, it's old school town, so people are like banging on anvils and shit. All the men just stop what they're doing, and they're suddenly enchanted, magically enchanted that they want to go. They know that the angels are there, and they show up around the house, and they're like, we want the angels, we want the angels. Or we just want those two guys, I guess. They don't even know they're angels. And I'm sure everybody's like, did you know you were gay? It's like, no, I didn't know I was gay. I just suddenly, all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I just want to rape these guys. I knew these guys were here and I want to rape them somehow. I don't even do that. I don't even like guys, but I'm going to do it this time. And so Lot goes outside. And he's like, brothers, and what are you doing? And they're like, we want to rape those guys. And Lot's like, you can't rape those guys. And they're like, yes, we can. And Lot's like, how about this? How about I have two daughters. They're either 14 and 12 or 13 and 15, but probably 14 and 13. They're virgins. I know, I checked. How about I let the rape mob have my daughters and you guys can do whatever you want with them? Just leave these two strangers that just showed up in my house. Just leave them alone. And thankfully, the rape mob was like, nah, that's not good. Especially since two of them were already betrothed to those girls. But they're like, no, we don't want the little girls. We want those dudes. So they go to attack Lot. And suddenly the angels reach out the door and pull him in and close the door. And as they do that, they make the whole group blind. And even though the group was like right there, could open the door, now they're suddenly blind and gay, and they're like, ah. And then it just fast forwards. It's just later. And the angels are like, all right, Lot, you were so good to us. God's going to rain down fire and brimstone on this place tomorrow for everybody being so gay. Lot was like, yeah, but they weren't gay till you got here. And they're like, so what? It doesn't matter. And Lot's like, all right, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, you got to get out of here. And well, there's a town a little bit of a ways away. Can we go to that? And the angels are like, okay, fine, you can go to that. And so he's like, all right, this is going to happen tomorrow. You can go get your daughter's husbands, your daughter's betrothed to be husbands. They can come too. Even though they were going to rape us, they can come too. And he's like, all right. So Lot goes and he goes to talk to the boys, and he's like, hey, you guys. And they're like, hey, Lot, how's it going, sir? Can't wait to have sex with your daughters. And he's like, I know. Earlier today, you guys were like gay and blind for a little while. They were like totally weird, dude. I don't know what the hell came over me, but I'm better now. I'm not ill. It's gay. Yuck. I don't want that. But man, for a little while there, you even offered your daughters to us, man, and we didn't want it. We just wanted those guys for some reason. I don't know. It's weird. And yeah, and then we went blind, and then it was later, and everything was fine. Like, we're back to normal. Lot's like, all right, well, that was because God is going to rain fire and brimstone upon everything, and we got to get the hell out of here. And they were like, what? Oh, man, you're stupid, old man. God's going to rain fire and brimstone. Nah, man, I think I got some bad tea. It happened to me once before. I don't like talking about it, but I got pretty gay there once. I was drinking a bunch of alcohol. I didn't go blind, but boy, I was gay for a minute. But anyway, no. God, come on. I was just gay and blind for a little while. It's all good. And then it was later. And then it's all good. No, we think you're crazy, old man. So Lot was like, all right. And then the next day they get up and they go. And the angels warn them not to turn back, or you'll get turned into a pillar of salt. But because women are so stupid, the wife looks back and she gets turned into a pillar of salt. And so, using Godspeed, I guess, they get like Lot's this crippled old man, so I don't really know how they're doing all this traveling. But they get over to the next town, and when they get there, Lot's like, you know what? You know those angel guys? I don't really trust them. So, I don't think we'll be safe in this town either. I have a little cave up at the top of this mountain that I just happen to have prepared for this exact thing. It's got some food in it and a whole bunch of alcohol. Let's Mario our ass up there. Do. And they just again Godspeeded up the mountain and into the cave. And now I guess they can look back without turning to salt, because they look back and Sodom and Gomorrah is all in ruins, but the town's still there, but they still decide to stay in the mountain for a little while. And now, this is the part that I always wonder with Bible people, like, do they not think about this? But who was there, like, writing everything down? Who was like, hey, let's, I'm taking notes about all these individual conversations that are taking place. Like, because what ends up happening is Lot's daughters are having this conversation about how great their father is, and how it's too bad that he's only had them, two dumb daughters, and his name won't be passed on. So he needs to have some sons before he dies, because he's old and he's going to die soon. And so they need to, what they scheme and they figure out. And again, somebody's there writing down this conversation between these two little girls who are probably 12 and 14, or 13 and 14, or something like that. But they decide that, again, because they're women and women are stupid, it's okay if they know what they're doing. But it's not okay if the dad knows what he's doing. So they decide these virgins decide they're going to get their father drunk, so drunk that he's old and crippled, but he can still perform He's going to be so drunk he doesn't remember that he's... I don't even know what to call it. It's raping his daughters, but they're raping him, and it's a bunch of weird shit. I don't know. But the oldest one does it the first night. And the next day, she knows. She's like, sister, everything's good. I'm pregnant, and it's a boy. It's your turn. And so little sister does the same thing the next day. And they get dad that drunk that he can bang his daughter without knowing about it and still perform. And then those kids, those boys and she knows the next day that she's also pregnant with a boy. And those boys end up being like the Canaanites and the Moabites or something like that. The Moabites is one. I'm not sure if it's the Canaanites is the other one, but that means God hates gay people, because that's the story, Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how that story ends. The sons become great men. And understand what's going on here. Jesus is Lord. You're literally justifying child rape, incest, and just awful, like God making everyone gay and then punishing them for it. I used to work at this place called the Banana Bungalow when I was in San Diego, and it was just insanity there. And the owner of it threw us a huge party, an employee party, brought kegs in and shit. And the next day fired us all for partying too much.
Need the vehicle?
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get off of here. It's going so well. Anyway.
I'm sorry. If you want me to grab the phone and then you call from a different
It's
phone.
okay. It's okay. I'm done. Exhausted. They say this tastes a lot more out of me than you think it does. Go get your free download. The link is in the description. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. Just click 0 or put a bunch of money in. It would really help if you did, but you don't have to. All we ask is that you just share it with somebody. There's also going to be a link to Hollywoodism. Go check that out. And then there's a link to our Facebook page. One of our songs on Facebook, probably the Samson Option. But go check us out. It's just more of this. If this works for you, go check it out. Like, share, sub, do all those good things. Tell your friends, tell your mama. And pedophiles, kill yourself.